Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of a new Trekkie. My 5-year mission to search out Star Trek media, to seek out our fans and merchandise, to boldly go where no fan has gone before.
Well, we're back to talk about, almost 2 episodes before the final season of TOS. So let's look at the episodes, The Savage Curtain and All Our Yesterdays. Let's look at The Savage Curtain first. Episode was written by Gene Roddenberry and Arthur Heineman. But what happened in this episode? Aliens forced Captain Kirk and First Officer Spock to join forces with beings who appear to be Abraham Lincoln and Stark. Battle with villains and a contest between good and evil. I'll be honest, when I've had to do videos for this show, and I will always see moments from the show, and I'll just say, "Oh, this seems interesting." Like, say something. Now they're talking to Abraham Lincoln.
Bless me.
Excuse me, Captain Kirk.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Scott.
What a charming negress. Oh, forgive me, my dear. I know that in my time, some use that term as a description of property.
But why should I object to that term, sir? You see, in our century, we've learned not to fear words.
Or suddenly now they're in the Old West. I was always, whenever I saw, moments where, say, oh, there's a episode of Abraham Lincoln in Star Trek. And then after I finally seen this episode, I was quite surprised. And that it was fairly interesting, I suppose. Was it great, though? I think it was alright. I think all the actors that are doing, playing the characters, whether it's Abraham Lincoln, Colonel Philip Green, Cirque, say, Genghis Khan, and all those characters, they all do a pretty good job. I will say that the one moment of this episode where I thought, okay, this show has had a lot of moments where, where you have a creature design, and I will say that, the, alien, the Excalabians, I believe?
Your ship and your crew, you have to win.
I'm gonna be honest, at first, you look at it and you think, oh, it's a rock that has multiple faces. But at the same time, if you're subconscious and your dirty mind gets in the way, you think, oh.
That is one big pile of shit.
And although I think the episode is, the acting and all it is in this episode, I do find it weird, say, okay, this is going to be Star Trek, but it's going to be having multiple characters from history, and, I like Abraham Lincoln, and it just makes me feel say, why have all these, fictional characters, and then a Klingon, and all that, and then say, okay, fight. And all that, it just comes off as just strange. And honestly, I'll get that, near the end of the episode, they just say, I wanted to test you to see what you would do, and all that kind of stuff. It's just weird. Is it as enjoyably bad as in, say, Spock's brain? No. Nothing will ever be greater than Spock's brain. But let's go ahead and look at an episode, which is All Our Yesterdays. So, this episode was written by Gene Lisette Arsta and directed by Marvin Chomsky. What happened in this episode, though? Captain Kirk, Spock, and Dr. McCoy are trapped in a time frame of another planet's past. I gotta say, as like an episode where the crew gets, in a way, separated from the captain, and both parties are trying to get back to each other. Honestly, I think this reminds me of an episode of, like, say, The Twilight Zone. I mean, then again, I'm a huge lover of The Twilight Zone, so honestly, I like that. And, honestly, I think that, the parts with Spock, especially, whether it is him, in a way, becoming more savage as the episode goes on, when they're trapped in the frozen world of the planet.
Are you prisoners, too?
Prisoners?
This is one of the places Zorkon sends people when he wants them to disappear. Didn't you come in through the time portal?
Yes, we came through the time portal, but not as prisoners.
Past and all that. I do think that most of the parts say, we couldn't go back because we would all die. I feel like say, this is goofy, but I still think it's probably fairly intriguing. Like say, you're trapped in another world, although you know where the exit is to this place, you know that say, there's a guy on the other side who's just gonna say oh, I'm gonna send you back now.
There are no witches. Why do you deny it? Not let them hear you. There are witches. There are. You yourself may be discovered to be a witch by the Inquisitor. No. What are you doing?
You were able to escape? Uh-oh. And I do happen to say that when I say that I think it's sort of like an episode of The Twilight Zone, it reminds me of the episode Little Girl Lost, in which a young girl is stuck in the Twilight Zone, and a fourth dimension, and she's just calling for her dad, and...
I can't see it, Daddy.
Here, honey. Can you hear me?
You're right here, pal. Don't move.
I've got to.
Don't move an inch.
I've got to find her.
Let her come to you, Chris. Call her.
Whenever, say, Kirk or everyone else is, saying, calling for each other, it's almost like you can hear them in another room, so it's sort of like that. It reminded me of that at the time, when I was watching it. And I kind of liked it. I liked those parts of the episode, and honestly, if we ever got the chance to talk about The Twilight Zone, I would love that. But, honestly, I gotta say this episode was, honestly, pretty good. I really enjoyed it. But what are your thoughts on these two episodes?